Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is Friday, December 30th. This is going to be the last show of the year 2022. We just got started, and it's already the last show of something, but we'll be back here on Monday in 2023. A lot of exciting things to unpack there. Welcome to the Investing Bros. If you are new here, make sure to go ahead and smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss a single piece of content. We go live every single weekday, Monday through Friday, updating you guys on crypto, stock market. We tell you guys what we think on things. We have a lot of fun, and we do it in a way that's very encouraging, uplifting. We like to kind of kill the toxicity in the space. If you are looking for a channel just like that, then you have stumbled on a gold mine. Speaking of gold mine, there was a great video we made yesterday looking at something that Mark Cuban said to Bill Maher. Watch the whole video. I have other thoughts, but you guys have to wait on that. We're gonna make another video where I give more of my thoughts on that Bill Maher and Mark Cuban take. But if you guys missed it, go after the show is over. Go watch that short of Mark Cuban's take and my thoughts on that. But it's gonna be a great day. We got a lot to talk about. As you can see in the title, Cardano was just found to be the most actively developed coin of 2022. What does that mean for the future? Because at the same time, it's the most actively developed and it's one of the most undervalued coins. Does that have implications about what we might expect in this next bull market? We got a lot of other stories. I'm going to throw in here to my partner, T Shroom. How are you doing this morning, T Shroom?
I'm doing really, really well. And I was trying to remember to make quotes every day, to find quotes every day, and I can't. So the quote for today is just going to be follow your dreams, guys. Find a dream that's yours and follow it.
Wow. I love it.
But I'm actually not doing good. I think I pulled a muscle in my calf.
I don't think you pulled it. I think you're just
Amanda
super
thinks
sore.
I pulled it. I don't. So it's hard. I can barely walk.
What were you doing? What was your workout?
Calf raises.
But if you pulled the muscle, you would have felt the pull during it. You just have like DOMs.
It's just DOMs.
Yeah,
really
it's just bad DOMs.
It's like debilitating DOMs.
Yeah, it happens.
I get the worst DOMs.
The worst DOMs.
Yeah. The worst DOMs fall on me. But that's not all that important or interesting, so let's keep moving.
You know, speaking of the worst DOMs, you know what I found? I was going through some stuff. You guys can't see it because it's not on camera. I have a bookshelf over here. I was going through some old stuff I hadn't been through in a while. And guess what I found, T-Shroom? I found yesterday. I found my Dogecoin
the bottom
that I won months ago for winning the HODL trophy. So anyone out there who's a big Doge fan, shout out to you guys.
And really, do that again. I'm really impressed with how well the sensor in that camera adjusted to focus in on that.
That's actually really clean. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Delicious.
Wow. Yeah, no, so I have my Dogecoin. So this is all the Doge I own currently. You know, I used to poop on Doge a lot. I still think it's a little bit of a joke, but it's a coin that I'm actually willing in this next bull market to look into having. Not just yet necessarily. And to be fair to Doge, there's a lot of coins I'm not investing in right now. I think I've consolidated down at the moment to just Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and then recently I've gotten back in. I have some Matic now. And some other ones I'm keeping an eye out for. I told you guys Algo is one. We might look at that a little bit on the charts today. Nothing has necessarily changed. So when we do technical analysis today, I'm going to do a lot more refreshing, some going back and just re-exposing things we talked about in the past on the charts. But what we might do is use some of that time to look at some new ones we don't spend a lot of time on. We shall see. You know, before we get going, T-Shroom, into some technical analysis, we're going to engage with chat here in just a second. We'll talk about one story, and we'll be very brief with it, but we just can't ignore it. It is probably the biggest news of the day. It has nothing really to do with crypto, and that is the Tate brothers were arrested for human trafficking. At least that's the accusation at this point.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts there?
My initial thoughts are that the fact that I heard about this months ago, that he was involved in human trafficking, means that there's probably some smoke to that gun.
Yeah.
There's probably some duck to that quack, if you read me loud and clear. I mean, he says a lot of interesting things. I tend to scroll past him when I see him on every social media somehow, even though he was banned apparently. So my thoughts on him are, he seems like somebody who's trying to be Jordan Peterson with these like really insightful bombs of truth about like how the masculinity was defined in the past.
Yeah.
And some of the things that he says are like, okay, that's interesting. But I think overall he has more wrong than right going for him, in my opinion.
I think it's funny that being canceled makes you a bigger figure. We live in a cancel culture world still. I think it is slowly, going away, but I think the reason they're realizing that is because they realized when you cancel someone, they just seem to get bigger and more popular. And like you said, he was canceled on Twitter, he was canceled on TikTok, he was canceled on YouTube, and yet you still saw him everywhere. So it didn't really accomplish anything.
Yeah. But what about the Greta angle?
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. The really interesting thing, and here's all I'll say, because I'm not going to say that much. My thoughts on Andrew Tate in general. I think he's kind of a scumbag of a person. That doesn't mean everything he says is wrong. So like, I think people are so quick to say, do I like the person or I dislike the person? And therefore, if you like somebody, they just default agree with everything that person says. And if they dislike the person, they just default disagree with everything they say. And that's terrible. That's terrible thinking. Whether you like somebody or not, and whether you agree with them on certain issues or not, that doesn't mean that everything they ever say is false. So there are things I've heard Andrew Tate say that I'm like, you know what, I'm in agreement with that. And there's other things I've heard him say that I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm in disagreement with that. What I found really funny, and we'll be quick with this, the whole thing with Greta, going back and forth, they're going back and forth on Twitter, and then he's talking about his car emissions, and she says to him, if you want to email me, and this is I'm just quoting what she said. If you want to email me, my email is smalldickenergy@something.com. And I this is one the whole internet went on fire saying, oh, she burned him. I agree with Andrew Tate on this one. In the video that he supposedly gets doxxed because he's using the Romanian pizza box or whatever. In the video, he's exposed. He's like, wait, so Greta, are you saying that okay, let me pause. If she had said to him, I'll email you at smalldickenergy, that would have been a burn, right? It's still stupid and childish, but at least I would have said, okay, that was funny. But the fact that everyone went crazy about how she burned him, but she said she was the one, I was like, that's not really a burn. That's kind of like a self-burn. Why is the internet responding like this? So I agreed with Andrew Tate's video where he was like saying, that you didn't say anything about me. You're talking about yourself. And I assumed you were a female, but I don't, I guess these days you don't assume gender or anything. I think the whole exchange between him and Greta was extremely childish. Like, why did he have to go after her talking about his cars and the emissions they had? Right. Why did she tell him that her email was small? Pop culture is just a weird thing. Thing. But it is big news.
Here's my take. You ready for my take? Tim?
Yeah, I want your take.
The Romanian authorities already knew he was back in the country. And they alerted PR companies, and those PR companies spun up a whole bunch of things, A, to sell ads for their clients, and B, to make way more of this arrest than needed to be. And Greta's probably going to do something early in Q1 or Q2, and we will remember her name because of this event, and we'll be more likely to click and find out what's going to happen in Q1.
The whole thing is muddy. This is the last thing I'll say. The whole thing is muddy because there was a video of Andrew Tate predicting a couple of weeks ago, he was predicting that he'd been pissing off people so much that the next thing was going to happen is he was going to get arrested. So I'm not saying he's innocent, but of course we also should be living in a world where people are innocent until proven guilty. Maybe he is guilty. I've never been a part of any of the human trafficking things. If he's guilty, then hopefully he gets justice. But he did predict that they were going to come after him with a BS claim to arrest him. So it'll be interesting to see what develops there. Yeah. I was going to say, let us know what you think in your comments. Let us know in the comments, but like, I'm honestly like,
people are saying it's not human trafficking charges. CBS News is saying
it's what?
Detained in Romania on human trafficking charges. So I'm not really sure why people are not thinking it's human trafficking.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe it isn't, but CNBC.
Everything I saw said that it was human trafficking.
Right, as did I. So we shall see. Wesley Moorfield.
Let's check in with chat real quick. We got 50 people already watching. Thank you so much. We have 51 now, but 27 likes. Let's go ahead and smash that four-fingered mitten right now. Let's get that like button up towards our view numbers. Again, really easy. When you're this small of a channel, it's really easy to match 100% of your views with your likes. Let's read and check. I'm a little delayed this morning, so I'm going to read through a lot of names very quickly, not necessarily read what people are saying. CBD Suddy is in the house. Grand Roofing Incorporated. I will read this. He said he just watched the short of Tim responding to Mark Cuban's gold comment. He's laughing at it. I don't know if he's laughing at me or laughing at the video. Yeah. I thought it's good take. But let me know after you guys. If you guys already watched that video, go back. Or if you already watched it, let me know what you think about my response to Mark Cuban. And if you haven't watched it, then you have to go watch that and let me know in the comments later. Justin Eubanks is here. Brad Geidel is on the road, but he's still listening here. Brian Hoskins is in chat. Jeff Sullivan, Yar Navarro, Wesley Moorfield saying, let's go Hokies. Come on, I got to read that one.
Yeah.
Let's go Hokies. Now,
Look at that.
Sucked this year, but listen, Brent Pry is coming with a fire next year.
Oh, Brent Fryer?
Brent Pry.
Brent Pry?
Yeah.
I've always said Brent Pry.
You've always said it.
I've always said it.
Every time you've ever said his name, you've been very highly... Okay, anyway, let's keep moving on. Cryptex is in chat. Shout out to Cryptex, amazing moderator and the designer of the coming Discord. So you guys look forward to that in the year 2023. He's been amazing with that. Brian Blankship is here. Brian D is here. Servando Estrada is here. Zager is here. More Wesley. Josh Denham, Kasha Cats, Crypto JMP, Quarter Pounder. I love it. Quarter Pounder.
Grand Roofing Incorporated, too.
Yep, Grand Roofing Incorporated. I think he was in here a little earlier. And then let's see. Anybody else? Jabui 17. Is that pronounced Jaboy or Jabui?
Jabui.
It's Jabui. So Jabui.
Jabui 17.
Jabui. All right. Well, thank you so much. Joker's Wild also. Thank you to everyone who is in chat right now. And like I said, go ahead and smash that like button if you have not already. Let's go ahead, T-Stream. Let's go into some Bitcoin TA. We're starting a little late, but it's good. It's good to start late because, again, not a lot has necessarily changed.
I've always said that.
Yeah, you have always said. You've said a lot of things always. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the daily chart. And let's remember a couple of things here. If you guys are surprised about the dip that we've been having here recently, you're going to see this on several coins. Remember here a couple of days ago, this would have been 2 days ago, I guess, I confirmed with you guys, talked about how we had that bearish engulfing candlestick here on the daily chart with Bitcoin. We had the same thing over with Ethereum, you guys are going to see, which I've just spread that one out for you guys as well. Again, bearish engulfing candlestick. Not only does the body itself, the body of the candle, it engulf, meaning it's at least matched with the beginning point and then goes longer in the closing point. It also has wicks that went above and below. So these are bearish engulfing candlesticks. They usually begin a bearish trend. Sure enough, that's exactly what we are seeing. The other thing that we're seeing is we're coming back down towards those prices we've been talking about, of liquidity zones, and that's using the Lux Algo price action concept. I believe we have a little bit deeper to go. Again, if you're looking down here, these are the more of the buy signals coming all the way down towards 16,240. A lot more sell signals potentially could have some pressure there if we get below that. But again, we still are well above. It's when you go down to the 4-hourly chart that you're not quite down yet. It's not the same level, but it's saying down at least towards 16,388. Good news, though, and this could be a sign of maybe some fresh bullish action. When you go to the hourly chart had a little zone of volume that needed to be bought up here, and it actually got eliminated. It went away because all the volume got bought up, all the liquidity. So now the 1-hourly chart is potentially saying, could we jump back up and come find some volume up here around 16,600? When you zoom out here, again, we made a prediction, me and T-Shroom, about where we think it will close the year out. I said 16,380. He said 16,400 on the dot. So we had a $20, even though we didn't work on it together, we both came up with it on the spot. We were $20 away from each other. I wouldn't be surprised to see a small little rally either to end the year off or to begin 2023. The point is, I do think that we're heading down in the short term. I do think we're going to see some lower $16,000 levels. The question is, will we bounce there and continue to the upside, or will we potentially need to keep going down and set new lows? Again, I'm sitting here looking at this saying, all right, I think that a realistic bottom in maybe Q1 of 2023, we're looking at prices between 14,680, potentially as low as 13,800, but realistically somewhere around this 14,260, $300 level. And another thing to keep your eyes on when we're looking at this, and I haven't talked about this in a little bit, but I think it's a good morning to go ahead and refresh you guys. Why, again, is this level of resistance that we just had hit so significant? Well, if you're looking at Fibonacci retracement, this was the 0.786 level on the linear chart. Going back and looking at our history, let's go back and remember historically what ends up happening. We break below the 0.786 level like we did back here in the bear market of 2018, and we come up several times back to that level of resistance, but we spent several months just trading sideways in this little zone before finally breaking through and resuming a bull market. And again, of course, that got delayed by the pandemic, so we came back down to these levels once again. But that was a black swan event. You don't necessarily use those as a trajectory of what the future looks like. So unless a black swan event happens, say in year 2024, 2025, which is absolutely possible, that's the whole thing about black swan events. You never know when they're going to hit. I do expect to spend the next couple of months, maybe even as many as 6, down here low, below $20,000, but then we'll be able to finally break through and rally up. We saw this again happen in the previous markets, the previous bull and bear markets. Let me go ahead and zoom in here for you guys. Is Auto going to help me? There we go. So in this one, this bear market that we had back here in 2015, we broke below the 0.786 level and actually had several breakouts and fakeouts where we broke above it, but could not sustain them. And again, spent several months and actually ended up coming down and set a brand new low. After we hit a low and didn't touch that again for months in January of 2015, we came back down in August of 2015, hit a barely lower low, and then began our bull market of what we peaked out back in 2017. So this is the trajectory we've been looking at, and currently going back to our active timeline, which I got it. Let's see, auto, there we go. If you go back to the bottom we had back here during that pandemic and you go up to the top, we're sitting in almost an identical looking zone. Let me go to log chart real quick just to do this, and I am showing you guys a lot of funness there. Let me go ahead and fix this up for you guys real quick. I didn't get quite to the bottom there. If you guys are looking at this chart, you're going to see our 0.786 level is going to hit right there at that 17,600, which is that zone that has been key support for a while now. And when you extend this across, it's continuing. We broke through, similar to like what we did back in back in 2015. We broke through temporarily, but now we're securely back below. I just would not be surprised to watch our price of Bitcoin for the next, again, a couple of months, maybe even as many as 6 months. Like maybe we're sitting here in June and July, potentially down low below 17.6, maybe below $20,000. But watch this price just continue to kind of bounce between these levels. I'm not giving you anything directly, but then maybe in a couple of months we come back down into those lower levels, maybe hit that 14.3, but that before we finally end up starting the bull rally back above 20,000. I'm not expecting a new high in the year 2023. T-Shim, are you expecting a brand new high for Bitcoin?
In 2023?
Yeah.
No.
I think a realistic expectation for a high in 2023, potentially, I still have my marker on. Classic mistake. I think potentially what we're looking at is maybe rivaling back up around $40,000 to $50,000 range. I think that would be a very bullish year because, again, remember, we're probably going to spend more than half of it at these lower prices, which is great for you guys being able to accumulate more Bitcoin. So we'll only have like another 6 or so months to actually start a rally. So in 6 months, jumping from around 14,000 to all the way up towards 50,000, that would be massive gains. Just, of course, no new high. I think brand new highs come in the year 2024. Unless something really suppresses us, and then we're waiting until 2025. Either way, that's kind of my projection at this point for what I think a realistic timeline for Bitcoin is going, to look at. Let's go to Ethereum. Let's look at what Ethereum is doing. Again, in the macro, we're still working inside of a falling wedge pattern. Yes, we had a fake out where we dropped below it, but we quickly jumped back in back in, what was this, July of this year. And when you zoom in, you're looking at, we already talked about that bearish engulfing candlestick, but we're hovering right now right at the resistance level. The other thing we're doing, and you guys can see this when we zoom in here, we're also working here for the last couple of weeks. This would be starting back in the mid-December. So again, the last 2 weeks or so, there's a little bit of a channel forming where we've had support here several times. Potentially, is Ethereum just dropping back down into these levels in around the mid $1,100 levels before we finally get a breakout, or does Ethereum need to go a little bit lower? We'll have to continue to wait and see on that. Nothing necessarily special happening there. Let's look at the 4-hour chart and see if it's doing anything special today. Not necessarily. No, not really. It's, again, just kind of continuing to flirt with that level of resistance, but refusing to fully break through. You can see a couple candles technically get through it, but they never really get, the next one ends up dropping back down below that level of resistance. So again, one more thing is just technical analysis for anyone who just doesn't believe it. Why is the price continuing to struggle with these levels? And those levels have been so significant for literally the last year, ever since back here. Ever since back here in, got to go all the way back up. Dang. All the way since November of 2021, that level of resistance has been touched 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5. And then if I were to zoom in here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, this level has been super, super significant. If you guys think that's a coincidence, all right, that's on you. But what that is technical analysis. Traders are watching this chart. They had that same line driven, and the bears are saying, hey, anytime we get there, go ahead and hit our sell order. And the bulls know, hey, if we get back to that line, take profit, because it's going to take a lot of momentum to break through those levels. But when we do, it could be a nice little ride. Now, last thing I'll say on Ethereum before I move on here, and I'm using more time than I thought I would, so a little proud of myself. I thought I'd blow through these things a lot quicker.
I'm proud of you too, Tim.
Thank you, T-Shirt. That's very encouraging. Don't be surprised if we actually end up coming down, hitting these levels like I'm talking about, but end up breaking through, hitting our head on this level of resistance again, coming back down to use this form of resistance as support. And now we're talking about getting back towards that $1,000 level. I've been talking about it for a while. I would not be surprised in 2023 to see an $1,000 or close to it Ethereum. And then when we use that resistance as support and we're able to start the bull market back, that's when we're talking about newer prices. Again, with Ethereum, I think Ethereum has a I'm going to sit here and kind of think about it. I think Ethereum has a chance. Technically, Bitcoin does as well. But I think Ethereum has a greater chance of a new all-time high in 2023. I think it'll still be hard, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the year 2023, what you see Ethereum's price do is actually come back and flirt with these all-time highs and potentially get rejected at them. That's pretty common that before you break through and set a new all-time high, you reject at it first. So maybe sometime late in 2023, Ethereum is actually getting back up towards $4,000 and then just gets rejected. $4,800 gets rejected, comes back down, and then it's in 2024 when we officially set that new all-time high. I would not be that surprised. Let's look at Cardano here because Cardano is one of the ones that, the title of the video is based on it. Let's review what's happening on its chart. Again, Cardano's massively undervalued at the moment. We talked about this yesterday on the show that even Santiment was saying this on Twitter. If you guys don't follow him, make sure you go follow him at Santiment. He was talking about how on-chain metrics are showing whales of Cardano, meaning ones that hold thousands, like 10 to 100,000 Cardano. Or is it 100,000 to 1 million or something like that? I don't remember. It's the smart money buyers of Cardano. They have been accumulating like crazy. Does that mean the bottom's in? Not necessarily. Again, we've talked about this. I think a realistic bottom's sitting around 22 to 20 cents. And if it gets really bad, then we're sitting at like maybe all the way down towards 17 or 15 cents. However, at the moment, we are sitting in a falling wedge pattern. We actually are seeing two different falling wedge patterns. One of them, though, we're below using that support level as resistance. But the one that's up there, the one we've been in more recently, sitting right here ever since back in November, on November the 5th, we're sitting coming back towards support level right there. If I were to pull up our oscillators, you're going to find that we're oversold on every single chart almost, starting even up high. Daily chart, we're oversold. We got massive oscillator right there telling us it's time to buy. Go down to the 4-hourly chart, we're oversold on that one. Go down to the hourly chart. This one I actually haven't checked this morning. So we were oversold, and what we're doing is setting up bullish divergence where slowly but surely the RSI bottoms are getting higher and the Cardano bottoms are getting lower. But I'm also looking at this, technically speaking, the peaks are doing the same, so the tops. So this is setting up a dynamic where we're having both bullish and bearish RSI divergence, which means a breakout is coming soon. The question is in what direction. I wouldn't be surprised, even though we're undervalued on the 4-hourly chart and the daily chart, I would not be surprised if that breakout sends us a little further to the downside, total at 22. But don't be surprised when/if Cardano changes directions, and it does this in a hurry. And despite the fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum might have some downfalls, we've seen this historically. If you guys have been in crypto and following Cardano for a couple years now, there's been several places and times where Cardano breaks away from the rest of the crypto space and ends up just doing its own thing, moving in a bullish momentum, even when other coins are moving to the downside. So I still think, again, 22, 20 cents, not going to be surprised to get down there. However, when it's time to take off, don't just say, well, Bitcoin's not moving to the upside, so that means Cardano won't. No, Cardano's going to have a mind of its own, and it's going to do its own thing. Let's take a look at really quickly at some other coins. We got a couple of minutes here, and then I want to get some T-Shroom's thoughts. Also, let me know, T-Shroom, anything in chat you're seeing that looks... Yeah, do you want to pause for a second?
Yeah, it looks like Tyler Main is now a dad.
Whoa,
which is really, really
come on.
Cool. So that's awesome. I wasn't seeing if it was a boy or a girl. That news is probably known a while ago, but congrats to you.
Yes, congrats.
Speaking of dads, my dad is also in the chat.
Steve Shrum.
Probably watching on 2 accounts.
The greatest viewer in the history of
that's right.
Investing Bros. It's true.
Well, congratulations,
shout out to dads.
Tyler Main. And if you haven't called your dad in a while, give your dad a call. Whoever you are, you probably need to hear this. If you're a dad, call your son or daughter. Tell them that you love them.
Yeah.
As long as there's no restraining orders or anything.
Come on.
Not. Yep. So good stuff.
Yeah. Let's look at some other coins and make some brief observations here. XRP, again, it is down. It did not have that it didn't have that bearish engulfing candlestick the way some others did. But what it's looking at currently is, again, I was talking about this with Ethereum developing a little bit of a channel. XRP is doing the same, and it's coming down into that zone. Does it have to stop right here? Not necessarily. It could keep going down to the downside, maybe even as low as 31.5. And if it gets below that, that's when this channel now becomes not necessarily. I would keep this level of support, then turn into resistance. But I'm not going to be surprised if you're a trader, especially with XRP, and there's a lot of excitement going on there, that partnership they have with Palau. If you're looking for a good buy opportunity, it's probably coming very soon. It might even be here. Make sure you hedge where you want to be specifically, but don't be surprised if we see a little bit of a rally here very soon because we're hitting a very key level of support with XRP. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but DOT actually, we talked about Cardano is the #1 developed coin in the year 2022. Well, #2 was DOT. We haven't done a lot of DOT TA. We're going to have to do more in the future. Again, you guys see I've done DOT in the past. Got a lot of lines going on here, but they haven't all been updated. And it also, I'm pretty sure all of this TA, the reason why it doesn't even make sense is I did all this TA on a log chart, not a linear chart. So you know what is great for this one? It's time to go ahead and just clear my screen.
Kill it.
Boom.
Look at that.
Brand new. Sometimes that's
beginnings.
The funnest thing to do in the world is to kill all of your lines. I don't recommend it always because sometimes you miss some important things, but it's a very good feeling. It's very. Have you ever like cleaned your house, like a spring cleaning where you just empty the house of everything?
Yeah, it's very 2023.
Yeah, let's look at what we have here. Just using chart vision, there's a form of a falling wedge happening here. What I'm talking about, I'm looking at the volatility we had back here, and we keep setting lower lows and lower highs, but the volatility decreases. So let's just start with a couple of lines here. They might not be perfect, but this is what I'm kind of looking at here. So we got a nice little level of resistance right there. Look at my green. Let's go ahead and turn that one red for us. And then our support level, again, this is one of the trickiest things. So you guys are going to be able to see this. One of the trickiest things is to decide where do I actually touch these levels. So let's do wicks and see what's happening here. So technically, we're just going to touch wicks. We haven't had a touch ever since back here in July. I'll go ahead and leave that one there because if we have a big fall, maybe DOT is coming back down towards in the $3 range. But more realistically, I'm going to come back here. Let's start with this little bottom we have right here. Back in, what is this? This is back in July of this year. And let's actually touch some of those ones. Boom. Again, whenever you're looking at bottoms, you look at zones. So the fact that we're not perfectly touching them right here is not necessarily too concerning to me. What you could do, theoretically speaking, is I could have moved this up to the upside, which that's a valid line right there. And we've been using this now as resistance, similar to what we had going on with Cardano. But we have those touches here, here, and then we have rejection lines on them right there and there as well. So this will be really interesting to watch here. Yes, these are falling wedge patterns. This one we have not had a touch in a while. I'll go ahead and turn that one blue because it is has not been rejected just yet. It hasn't been killed just yet. This one here, however, I'll turn yellow. It has been exposed. A former support level now turned into resistance. Let's look at some oscillators on DOT. Overexposed. So this is anytime you see you go below the 30 on the RSI and the daily chart, that is a good sign. The Luxago oscillator is flashing oversold. Of course, again, similar to Cardano, we're really low. This is one of the many coins, several coins right now are experiencing lows on the year. Lows in this whole market. Let's go back and look at some historical levels. This chart just didn't have a lot, but we're getting really close to some really key levels of support in DOT's history, potentially even all the way down towards that 362. So remember, I told you guys there's a chance we're coming back down to touch this line around that 370, around 360. Well, guess what? That was support that we had back here in 2020. So that could make a lot of sense. Watch anywhere in this zone, 379. Watch those levels happen for DOT if you're looking for a good bottom on DOT, because right now I'm not necessarily seeing anything. Let me go out and let's look at some fixed range volume profile. Again, this isn't it's not necessarily historically the most active chart. Which one is this one? Is this one on, what am I looking at? Let's go Binance. Does Binance give me more time? This was Binance. All right, let's go. Let's crack and give me more time. Not really. It gives me slightly more time. When was DOT created?
I can look it up.
I think it's older than 2020, isn't it? This would expose my knowledge of DOT's historic beginning. Let me know in chat how old DOT is.
2016.
Yeah, No.
2020.
Yeah, okay. So these charts are what they are. So we're going back towards lows. We're going back towards lows that we had, during its beginning. Again, that could be a bad thing, but when you're looking at the fact that it's the second most developed coin out there, again, we'll talk about this a little bit when we get in the articles. However, just because you're low in price does not mean you're a dead project. At the same timeline, just because you're being developed very heavily doesn't mean your price is about to go up, but it should instill confidence that the team itself still believes. Like that's what we talked about yesterday with Solana. Solana is down massively, and their development team is jumping ship. They don't believe in the project anymore. So not only are the users not really believing in Solana, the people that were building on Solana don't really believe in Solana, versus when you're looking at Cardano and DOT, who are also down horrendously. Let's actually take a look at that real quick. I haven't looked at that one. DOT is down from all-time high, the peak that we had. It is down 92%. You know, Solana's down slightly more, a little bit more than that, but DOT's down 92%, and yet it's still the second most active developed coin out there, which means the developers themselves still believe, and I think there's several people in our community, our chat, that believe in DOT long term. Yeah, so we haven't done DOT TA in a while, and again, I'll keep you guys updated on what is happening there. Turns out this is good, but keep an eye on these little charts right here. Last thing I'll do, let's pull up LuxAlgo and see if it's saying anything for us. I just want to look at, we do have a contrarian buy signal, but we've been in a bear market, so that's not necessarily that significant. Maybe potentially if we go down to the hourly chart, we'll see something that helps us out a little bit more, but it's going to take a second to load because sometimes that does that. Yeah, not necessarily anything. We're hitting a stop loss level, so LuxAlgo isn't really helping us with DOT right now. But keep your eyes on DOT. Potentially, you know, we're overexposed right now to the downside. We are oversold, but there is still a chance, and a very real chance, that we're seeing the price get down into the $3, and we're going back towards bottoms that we had back in its early existence back in 2020, down towards maybe 360 or so. That is all the TA we have for you on altcoins and crypto today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. I do see we have 70-something people watching, 53 likes, so that is a good ratio, but we definitely have a couple people in chat right now that have just forgotten that that like button even exists, and now I'm reminding you, and you can go smash it. T-Shroom, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're about a minute over. The market is now open. Anything spicy you're seeing happening over the stock market?
Let's take a look. Let's take a look over at the stock market, because we are at the market open now.
Boom.
The market is now open, and we are at its mercy. I was just looking at a Matic chart here on the 1 week, and Matic is still technically in a buy order from LuxAlgo, as you can see. It hasn't
I didn't get down to Matic, did I?
It hasn't broken. It's okay. It hasn't broken down through this 70-cent support that's right here. It's a loose support, but so
there's a zone. Go to my screen real quick. There's a pocket, there's a channel on Matic right now. It's touching into that channel around 75 cents. It goes as low technically as 67 cents, but that 70-cent zone you're talking about, it hasn't got down there, and it easily could, but that could be a great support level for Matic.
Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah, pulled up a fixed range here, and man, you can see that it is just trading quite a bit below that point of control there, but it does have a peak here that it can stay above. And again, buy rating on LuxAlgo. This again is the weekly chart. But the LuxAlgo oscillator is saying that it probably has some ways to fall as bearish momentum starts to pick up. But let's go ahead and look just at the markets in general. Energy opening up lower this morning, and I had some observations here on U.S. oil today. As you can kind of see it, I'm going to get off the weekly chart, go back to daily. But as you can see, there's quite a bit here to look at, but it's really been flirting with this line of support and this line of resistance here for the last couple of weeks. This is U.S. oil prices, crude, WTI, and what you can see is I think it's going to probably more than likely come back and test these lows again, because it didn't have enough momentum to come up here and test this support up at 82.90. So I think it's going to probably come back down, and who knows what the news is saying by then, but I think ultimately it's probably going to bounce off of this and come back higher and test. More than likely going to be seeing a lot of sideways movement in this range until a major event happens. But that's energy opening up lower today. And I've got some sad news, guys. Yesterday, natural gas. Well, I'll go to the chart for this. It'll be easier to tell the story. Yesterday, I put in, the day before yesterday, I put in a short order and put a stop loss on it. And I got stopped out. And that was on cold. So that was on the long, which, as you can see, gold has just been on a tirade because it is a reverse ETF of natural gas. And so I've been playing it all through here, taking profits. But here, especially yesterday, and I can show you in the 4-hour, yesterday it went on just an absolute tirade. And I was not able to take profits in that because I got stopped out early. And so that was really unfortunate. But, that it has been it's been quite a wrestle, quite a difficult battle with natural gas, but I'm still positioned to where I can easily come out on the upside. I just have to be patient and wait for those natural gas prices to come back. And what I'm thinking is that more than likely what's going on here is that there is just a lot of pressure from governments who are subsidizing these industries. This is a U.S. natural gas price, so I wouldn't put it past our current administration to try to keep this energy price low, especially during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just strange, and there's different methods of keeping that price low. Do I sound like a jaded trader who's down on a trade and trying to come up with conspiracy reasons why that might be? Of course I do. Markets are opening up red, and decidedly so, albeit slightly modest. The SPY and the NASDAQ are leading lower. So getting that money that was kind of rotating into risk earlier yesterday is now rotating back. Everything's going back into cash theoretically here because it's all selling. But the Dow Jones is not getting sold as aggressively. But again, these are not very strong numbers. You're not seeing much action on the other side of this decimal point, just on that side here where you can see the movement. And then going into crypto, pretty much red across the board except Litecoin staying green, clinging on to that. I wonder if there's any news on that. But who's leading the way lower? Matic is leading the way lower. And we just took a look at that on the weekly chart, so we won't pop back over there. Cake lost a lot of ground. This is probably one that's not on your radar. This is a yield farm coin on the Binance Smart Chain, and as you can see, it's taken quite a bit of a hit here. As also has BNB has as well, as that ecosystem kind of came under question after the FTX. After Kevin O'Leary started kind of calling it out and asking questions about Binance and their viability, and then that you'll remember, Tim, that reserve report came out and it was a little bit questionable. So
I'm still lost on what happened with that. We had the huge news of that that firm that was doing the auditing that leaving them, and then there was nothing that really, no details came out to my knowledge. If you guys want to correct me in chat and you guys found something or heard something, that'd be awesome. But I didn't hear any updates as to why they actually left, which again continues to make me think, call me conspiracy theory Tim, get me my tinfoil hat. My tinfoil hat. I feel like they were told. I don't think there was any reason internally. I think that someone else told them, hey, stop auditing them. Because I think there's a lot of partners for FTX, and they view Binance as an enemy. In their words, Kevin O'Leary's words, they blame Binance for their demise. Mm-hmm. You don't think that those powerful people are going to try to pull some strings to try to make Binance look bad? Yeah. And then they don't like when what they do doesn't necessarily work. Like the massive outflows you saw from Binance, and then you go look at CZ, and CZ's like, hey, guess what? When you have an exchange that you actually have your money backed and you haven't been funneling it to other resources and people come and take their money off, you're okay because you were prepared for it. Then things got quiet over there really quickly, and I haven't heard anything more about it. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something came out and I missed it.
Yeah. Well, it took a hit because there's just been continued outflow from Binance, and so people selling out of BNB that was staked on Binance, and different things like that. Less activity, on Binance and Binance.us. So let's go back over to the metals here, though. Taking a look here, seeing a little bit of a cool down here in gold and silver. In the early trading minutes here of the New York Stock Exchange session, but these are going to be the big stories going into 2023 is my prediction. You're going to see quite an ascension here. I'm going to go off the 4-hour let's go onto the weekly and just take a look here at gold prices. So this is going back to 2018. You can see, is this a favorable position for gold right now? That's kind of the question you have to ask yourself and answer going into 2023. This gold and silver are recession more often than not recession-proof assets, right? They have a lot of this is silver. They have a lot of track record of doing well, and you can see, since October, since about mid-October, silver has been getting bought, putting in a bottom here back in August, late August. Let's compare that to gold. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. And look at those wicks, man. Those all wick down to almost the exact same support level. That's really interesting. But yeah, so definitely some good looks here on the metals as they're showing strength moving into the new year. Not so much for big tech as it's selling off yet again, although Tesla is getting a bounce. So kind of nothing super new there. Bond yields coming in strong today, as well as across the pond, although slightly more moderately. And then the Dixie continuing lower and looking like it could be wanting to get back into that range there. No, not yet. It's still in the can we do it? And this is a line that I've drawn. This isn't a super accurate line. We probably should redraw that at some point.
There is on the Dixie, there is a flat level of support that they're losing currently. And I was checking this morning, it was above this. So it's dropping as we talk. I drew these zones here a while ago, and I believe they're all their support levels, their Fibonacci levels, but we kind of paused for a little bit in this little zone between this orange line and the green line. Down here on 103.29 and up here to 104. We didn't quite get back up to it. The next level I'm watching, let's just keep an eye on, of course, we'll have to redo this low that we had back here a couple of weeks ago around 103.7 and 4 cents. What is that? Yeah, 7 cents. But keep your eyes on 102.18, especially with, and I think there's a story that we're going to talk about a little bit, but just in case we don't, we'll mention it. The President Biden signing that $1.7 trillion bill.
Yeah.
Where's that money coming from? I don't know. Guess what that means? We're going to print it. Well, guess what that means? The value of the dollar goes down. What does that mean? The Dixie's going to drop, which could be good for crypto. We'll see. But it's not good for our economy, and it's not good for the efforts that Fed and Jerome Powell are trying to get with killing inflation. So,
well, speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the news headlines here. And the biggest one that we've been alluding to quite a bit today is that the top 10 blockchains deactivity of 2022, and by deactivity I mean development activity, so dev activity. 2022 was a bumpy year. What if we could see blockchain protocols who increased development activity despite all the crazy dumps? Easy. Let's take a look. So this is the chart here, and you can see it's kind of hard to see because there's so many of them, but what is that red one up at the top? Well, it is Cardano, ADA. So you can see here, let's take a look at this list. So coming in at the top is ADA.
And one thing I want to mention is because someone reminded me in chat. So this is all of 2022. In the article, it actually says Solana almost made this list, but it would have it was talking about how much it was doing earlier in the year. Obviously, later in the year, it started tailing off. DOT number 2. I want to correct something I said earlier in case people were listening. I completely forgot. I'm not saying DOT is over, but the CEO Gavin Woods. Yeah, he left. I forgot about that.
Oh, wow.
So DOT is number 2, but remember, this is data from the entire year, not just recently. It'll be interesting to see how these charts get affected early in 2021. Go back up to it real quick. Let's go back and look at the line, because actually it does show you kind of later in the year what things are looking like.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking at Blade. Yeah, see, so even Cardano has everything's tapered off here towards the end. But DOT started tapering off. Does that give you a date when the blue line starts falling?
Let's see. That's going to be tough to zoom in on that. Basically, December 9th is this price.
All right, so go back a couple of those timestamps, because it's around that third one.
November 4, September 30.
Do we remember the date that Gavin Woods left? Let us know in chat. What was the date Gavin left? I wonder if that decline started around his.
Go ahead and see if you can find it, and I'll keep pounding through this this top 10 list. So the other dev that was dev team that also kind of outperformed here was Atom, and I'm not surprised because day after day we see green on that Atom chart. So Atom really impressing, and the big story there is their interoperability, and they are using a lot of innovative techniques to bring transactions across chains, And it's really impressive over there at Atom. I definitely like that chain. So Ethereum coming in at number 4. You'd probably expect that to be higher, but ICP coming in at number 5. eGold at number 6. That's actually extremely surprising. Flow at number 7. 8 is Optimism, I believe. And then APT, number 9. And then number 10 is Matic. So that tells me, number 10 being Matic, is that they've spent so much time on business development, not as much time on chain development. And they have the luxury of doing that. I'm actually surprised that they're even on this list, because that bodes well for them. The reality is Matic doesn't have to do a ton of work, right? Because they're reliant. All they're doing is bringing clients, their dApp clients, onto Ethereum. They're an on-ramp for Ethereum in a lot of ways. They're a level 2 for Ethereum and level 2 chain. And so is Optimism. So the fact that you see Optimism on there as well just means that they are still working hard on their own chains, making them more efficient and cheaper. And so that's a good sign. I do not understand how eGold is on this list. Mm-hmm. That I was actually considering going ahead and closing out of my eGold losses just because I have so little faith in them. But I might have to look more into them before I sell. Let me know in the chat. Should I look back into eGold before I sell? I mean, I would sell and then rotate it into either Bitcoin or Cardano, more than likely, maybe Ethereum. But yeah, so that's that list. And there were a couple disclaimers here. Aptos has been working super hard before the mainnet and chilled down after. And then Solana could be here on a chart. Its dev activity is long, strong, and within ones above, but the metric is declining heavily through the year. So you can see in next, what if we take the above assets and sort by current ROI? Oh, this is an interesting comparison. So here we go. Current ROI since token sales in USD terms. And I guess this would have, a decent amount of legitimacy here, but it's old. So these prices you'd have to assume are old. They're not live. So ICP had the highest ROI, but these numbers are descending order, right? Is 385 by current ROI.
Is it negative? Like, are all those numbers because it's descending? So
I guess those are negative. They didn't use slashes up here, but they also didn't have a value next to it. So, yeah. Well, I mean, there it is. There's that information.
That's the only thing that would make sense.
I guess that they're negative. Yeah.
I don't know what the metrics are there.
So that would put ICP and Flow and DOT in the top 3 there, and eGold in number 4. So that's really interesting. But yeah, so that's that list. I mean, the big headline takeaway here though is that ADA took the cake as the number 1 dev activity blockchain in crypto. So
by the way, I saw in chat. I'm not claiming to be the most knowledgeable person on DOT. What's his name here? I want to make sure I say his name correctly. Brian Blankenship. He's been looking at this. Gavin Woods is still chief architect of Parity. All right. So it's not like Gavin Woods left completely, but he did step down as CEO, and he did that in mid to late October, around October 20th or so. And guess where the development of DOT starts to decline?
Right around
mid to late October. So maybe that's a coincidence, but like I somewhat suspected, development on DOT slowed down when Gavin Woods, we said stepped away. Let's correct that. He stepped back. So he's still there. He's just no longer CEO. And I don't know, has it come out exactly why? I think I saw a quote. He's just said he didn't want to be CEO anymore, but if something fishy happened and he was forced to step down, that's what you should say. That's the PR thing to say. Oh, I didn't really want to be the CEO. That wasn't my plan. And it's like, well, that's a nice way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
So
staying in kind of the realm of Cardano's ecosystem here, we've got a story about Cody's treasury, and that is they've got a new fee structure to announce. So let's go ahead and fast forward to the details here, as we've got a couple more stories we want to cover. So we'll kind of get through this quick. We have, this is Cody saying, Representative Cody saying, we have decreased the deposit fee by 50% from 0.5 to 0.25. So they've gone down 25 basis points in their rate there, and this will grow adoption is their theory for that change. And also of significance is in the new model, the withdrawal fee will be dynamic and will take into account the duration of the deposit regardless of the lock period. So the longer the deposit is kept in the treasury, the lower the withdrawal fee will be, going as low as 0.4. Now, this is innovative, guys. This is really interesting because the longer you keep it in there, the lower the fee goes. That gives you so much more optionality. You don't have a black and white penalty set based on a time period. Now it's gradiated. Now it's variable. It's exactly what it's saying here. But that is impressive to me. I haven't seen that anywhere else. Let me know in the chat if you've seen that somewhere else. The way that they've restructured that. Tim, did you have any thoughts here on that? On those tokenomics?
No, I mean, not necessarily, but I thought it was interesting and worth covering because, again, it is an update. A lot of people have been asking. I do think when we're looking at the future, just because of the nature of how powerful and how adamant the Cardano community is, what DGED is a very hot topic. The fact that it's being built with Cody, anything you have coming out with Cody, I thought that people wanted to hear an update on that one. Again, I'm not necessarily certain what to do with it. I'm not invested in Cody. I'm not invested in DGED yet. I'm waiting for things to develop there. But I do think it was interesting that I thought the most compelling part, because I read through the article, was the fact that the change came not because the team themselves just decided, let's do this change. It's because they responded to the community requests.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they can't do everything the community ever asks. Like I think I said there, like the low, when you're withdrawing, they can never get below 0.4%, which by the way is not that high, but they can't get below it.
Yeah.
Because then they probably cease to be able to continue to operate. But the fact that they lowered the entry percentage because the community kept asking for it is another reason why I'm such a big fan of the Cardano network and the projects being worked on in Cardano, because they are so decentralized. They are so focused on making sure that people in the community are the ones making the decisions, not just the development team themselves. Again, that's been a problem in the past. Charles Hoskins has talked about it. When people were fussing about how long Cardano was taking with their updates, he's like, listen, if I had complete control, I could just get this done right now. We have to wait for the node operators to approve this. We have to wait for you guys to approve this, which is what the beauty of decentralized currency is.
Absolutely. And there is a crucial detail that I would be remiss if I didn't include here. The new fee model for Cody's treasury will take effect starting January 15th and will affect existing deposits as well. So that's good. You get grandfathered into the new system. What do you call that? Grandmothered in? I don't know. Over the next few weeks, we'll reveal our plans for 2023 and beyond, including some very exciting updates to the treasury. Some exciting updates already revealed. Well, let's get into some fun headlines here. This is a crazy story, guys. This is just absolutely bonkers, and we could not let it pass by. Dollar loses to digital currencies in 2023, says former Russian President Medvedev. We had a lot of issues with the pronunciation today, this morning, as you might imagine. Medvedev sees World Bank crashing, Musk in the White House, and expensive oil. So this is all going to be very shocking. So this is not something that we believe by any means, but this is something that somebody fairly legitimately in the world believes. And, their legitimacy is being lost day by day as they continue to invade Ukraine. But, he still has a unique and privileged perspective. He thinks the Bretton Woods monetary system will collapse next year, causing the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to crash, according to the man who was at the helm of Russia for 4 years between two of Vladimir Putin's presidential terms. So that's important to consider as we read these predictions. He's pretty much Vladimir Putin's pawn, wouldn't you say, Tim?
I mean, isn't everyone in Russian government Vladimir Putin's pawn?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that, pawn might be too strong of a word, but over here at the Investing Bros, we're not afraid.
You don't make it very far in that government unless you are his pawn.
Right.
So. Right,
exactly. Yeah. So let's see some of these other predictions that went into. Medvedev went on to forecast that oil prices will reach $150 a barrel and natural gas will top $5,000. That would be really, really nice. Taking a look at the natural gas prices today, you can see, well, this is an ETF of it. Let's go to the actual spot price. It's below 4. So 5,000, I don't know if that's what he means, but that would be pretty crazy. And then also looking at oil, the oil spot is at 79 today. So that would take quite a bit of doing to get it. I think it got close to 150 though. Sorry, I'm going back and forth on the screen, giving you guys whiplash. 123. So that's compared to his natural gas prediction. That is actually pretty conservative for oil. What you got, Tim?
We have a massive update.
What's that update?
Smay is in chat.
Smay is in chat?
He's going by his alias. Christian Maynard.
Christian Maynard.
That's Christian is his name. We call him Smay. His Smay is his alias.
This is awesome.
What's going up, Christian, aka Smay, aka Turtle King, aka my favorite.
So with SME, we are all just part of the SME Nation. So
It is SME Nation.
We're glad that you are in the chat, and I hope that you're enjoying our reading of Medvedev's predictions here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I didn't know if we were going to get to it or not, if he's going to leave. But make sure everybody, you guys know, with Christian Maynard, if you haven't put two and two together, that's SME. And I'm so glad to see him in chat.
Yeah, so am I.
He must be off work today.
Now, we made a video yesterday and put it out, and
we did.
SME was the central focal point of that video, other than Tim. So definitely go and check that out. That's on our channel. It's like a 3-minute video that we put out yesterday.
Breaking down the that short that actually did pretty well, the bowling short.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get back into Medvedev's predictions here. So he made his energy predictions. He also expects the EU to collapse after the United Kingdom rejoins the bloc. That is crazy. So the United Kingdom would reverse Brexit and join the EU, and then the whole thing would collapse, and the euro to fall out of use. In a divided Europe, France and Germany will clash, while Hungary and Poland will occupy parts of Western Ukraine. So Hungary and Poland would weaponize their military, which is kind of redundant to say, but then they would go ahead and occupy Ukraine, and Ukraine would probably at that point cease to be a sovereign nation and just be kind of a fully annexed state to multiple countries.
Not going to happen, especially with this 1.7 trillion and a good amount of it's going towards Ukraine.
That's true. Yeah, it's basically a proxy war between
That'd be
Russia
a major
and the US.
L for the US.
Yeah.
If what he says is going to happen ends up happening.
I still think though that the craziest prediction here is the $5,000 natural gas price, but I would be inclined to think that. Okay, so he also sees California as becoming an independent state, and Texas leaving the U.S. to join Mexico.
Wow.
Or form an alliance with Mexico, not to become Mexico, but to form an alliance with Mexico. He said Elon Musk will win the presidential election in a number of states, which after the news civil wars end will have been given to the GOP. So there's just a lot of craziness going on here, but we'll get through this last paragraph. Throughout the outgoing year, Russian authorities have been working to expand legal framework for digital assets and regulating cryptocurrencies, in particular their use for cross-border settlements and financial restrictions. While the Bank of Russia, which is developing its own digital ruble, proposed a blanket ban on crypto transactions in the country, Medvedev told Russian media in January that a prohibition could have the opposite effect. So is Medvedev a bull on crypto and keeping the Russian markets open and keeping it from banning crypto? That's kind of the whole reason why we brought up this whole headline in the first place. But he had a bunch of crazy predictions in there as well.
I was going to say, I love how he didn't just stop at something simple. He went deep. Elon Musk is president.
Yeah.
Which does Elon Musk even have that desire? I don't know.
I don't know.
How much Tesla stock would rise if he became president? How high would Tesla stock?
Pretty high. But also the thing is that I think he was born in South Africa, wasn't he? So I don't know. I don't know if he could be president. I don't think he would want to be president.
That's a good point. But again, we're talking to a Russian who they changed a bunch of laws for leaders too. So maybe he's expecting Elon Musk to have a takeover of the United States and change the laws.
Yeah.
It would be in par with all the rest of his predictions.
Mm-hmm.
So he predicting another American Civil War, in which case Texas
it looks like
succeeds.
Yeah, it looks like Texas secedes.
And he said they're successful at seceding.
I guess so, and allying with Mexico. But let's check in on a couple more things here because there's some important things going on out in the world. Vitalik yesterday tweeting out something around 5 p.m. closing time. Said some smart people tell me there is an earnest smart developer community in Solana. Well, it didn't make this list, but
no, it didn't.
Now that he has now that the awful opportunistic money people have been washed out, the chain has a bright future. Hard for me to tell from the outside, but I hope the community gets its fair chance to thrive.
He's talking about Solana?
He's talking about Solana.
Vitalik.
And what I think here is what I tweeted was. I tweeted. Oh, here, let me pull it up because it is kind of. I'm proud. I'm proud of this one here. Yeah. So as you can see here, I quote retweeted it and I said victory lap because I think what's kind of going on there is that Solana is pretty much done, guys. If you haven't sold out of Solana, it's something you may want to consider. Not financial advice, but I think that Vitalik is like, okay, Solana was Ethereum killer, wasn't it? Wasn't it considered to be?
Yeah,
that?
it was it got to a place where it was considered the #1 threat to Ethereum.
So Vitalik is taking the opportunity here to take the high road. Smart, right? Very CZ of him in this
no
this
risk
moment.
in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that he's. But ultimately, it's a veiled victory lap.
Even better, what better to do if you're the runner, if you're the leader of Ethereum, than to try to give some false confidence to a veiled, like, there's no way Solana threatens Ethereum anymore, but potentially does money that could have gone into say Cardano or say Polygon or not Polygon, sorry, say Algo or say Dot. Maybe some people are sitting here with their money saying, well, Vitalik says Solana might have a chance. Maybe I'll put some money over there instead. And he's not threatened by Solana one bit because he knows what we all know. No one will fully trust Solana ever again. And I say no one, I mean no smart money person will ever fully trust Solana again.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. There is one guy, Biology is his name, and I think within the last 2 weeks he was still speaking kind of bullishly about Solana, and I respect his opinions quite a bit. But other than him, I haven't really heard much positivity from valid sources in a while. Well, we got one more headline here.
Yeah.
Actually, two more. One of them's extremely big that we're kind of waiting till the last minute, but it looks like we may have a reason to just keep going today. Go a little over in the chat. Coming to us from CBD Smutty. But Cathie Woods, ARK Invest buys the dip, scoops up another 5.5 in Coinbase. Wow. So, I mean, that's really the headline says it all. What do you think, Tim? Silly?
Not silly. Here's the thing. I think Cathie Woods is a smarter person than me. I do have to say she has made some investing decisions that are a little peculiar. I think they've been poorly timed. But I'm not going to say that I'm smarter than her. So maybe she knows something we don't know. Maybe she is making a bad decision on this one. I don't know. I don't know if I can fully say that on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's... I appreciate the gesture symbolically of trying to give some hope. I just have a feeling it's like, how is her analysts looking? Because they're everybody's paid pretty well over there, you would have to imagine, unless they're just dedicated to the brand ARK for some reason. It's just wild. So how are they legitimately coming up with a buy rating and a buy decision on Coinbase right now? I'm not saying that it isn't the best, that it isn't like something to do, but I don't know.
Does she know something we don't know? Again, I'm not trying to spread any FUD here. This is not happening. So anyone listening to this, don't think that Tim is trying to spread some new information. But like, is she and her team expecting Binance to take a bigger hit? In which case Coinbase takes a bigger share of people, people moving their money from Binance to Coinbase because it's looking like it's a little more secure. Is she looking at the fact that she knows, even though we're seeing the bear market right now, that partnership that Coinbase has with BlackRock, I know a lot of people don't like BlackRock, but BlackRock brings money, that brings security, that brings plans, that brings favorability, that Coinbase is in a safe spot. It's a good one to invest in. I don't know. I don't know what she knows and what she doesn't know. Again, she's made, in my opinion, she's made some bad investments in the past. That doesn't automatically make this a bad investment. It just, we don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the way I land on this is it's not so much that Coinbase isn't a buy, because I think you can keep nibbling on it. It's going to be a very big name. It stood the test of multiple bear markets at this point. But at the end of the day, it's like, we're talking about gold, right? We're talking about silver. We're talking about, I'm trading like natural gas. I'm looking at like ways to preserve value. While Cathie Woods, she could be proven extremely right here. She's putting it all out there, and Christian Maynard sharing his opinion. Cathie Wood is a silly goose. He didn't
say her name right,
but in her defense, he previously chatted. We need analysis on Luna Classic. So you're kind of seeing where that opinion's coming from. One more headline here, guys, and that is that President Biden signs $1.7 trillion omnibus bill, government spending bill. We've covered it here on the channel a couple times, some of the details of that, but ultimately, it's extremely disappointing to see a bill that is more than 4,000 pages long, 3 times the size of the Bible, 3 times the length of the Bible, made essentially by 5 people who were sworn to secrecy to each other of like what was going to be in it. Then they propose it to the to Congress, and then Congress has, I believe, like 48 hours to read it, and then they passed a vote to vote on it, and then they voted on it. The House passed it, and the Senate obviously passed it as well. And it may have been in the Senate first and then the Congress, but then it made its way to Biden's desk, and you get this headline, right? So that's 1.7. Where the money comes from, you have to assume it's a combination of printing and just deficit spending, and it's not good. I mean, meanwhile, you have the Federal Reserve ramping up interest rates to try and bring down inflation. You have the fiscal policy folks over there just throwing caution to the wind and just printing more. Hopefully, this money does some good. I mean, when we did a deeper analysis of it, it's like it's not like this money is just literally going into a dumpster. This money is going to go help fund charities. It's going to help, fund the war effort in Ukraine, which has a lot of complexity and baggage at this point. But it is going to go do things, and it is money going into the economy. So that will stimulate things in the short term. There are positive outcomes of this. There's winners and losers. But ultimately, you have to look at this kind of movement and be like, how the heck are they doing this?
There's winners and losers. The people of the United States are the losers.
Yeah.
The people running the United States are the winners.
I'm just trying to look at the optimistic side.
You're trying to spin. You're in a spin cycle, trying to spin some positivity.
Exactly.
And I love it.
Exactly.
I love the positivity.
Well, I keep getting calls from MSNBC. They want me to be their anchor.
Yeah. They're looking for more positivity. And, positivity. The dollar goes down, crypto looks a lot more, especially Bitcoin, looks a lot more advantageous.
It does.
Your dollar is going to be worth less. We're going to potentially put pressure on the Fed. The Fed's going to want to hike interest rates, which, by the way, I don't think we mentioned that today. And I know we're about to wrap up here, but in case people hadn't looked at this chart recently, I'm going to update it. Going over to, I'm gonna refresh my page just so it's okay. It went up since this morning, and Shannon Fowler's calling me again because he knows we're not.
Interesting.
I don't know. We're now sitting at a 12% chance.
Yeah. That
we actually don't raise interest rates in February at all.
Yeah.
Earlier this morning, it was sitting at 10. Yesterday, it was sitting. Yesterday it was at 9.1, and remember last week, there was a chance that we were still going 50. This is completely flipped. And we still have 4 weeks and 5 days. You guys can see there, right there. We still have 4 weeks and 5 days before the decision. But the overwhelming prediction is 25 basis points, which makes a lot of sense. But it is slowly gaining some momentum we might pause in February.
And what happened today, the only real big news was the passing of that omnibus bill. And if you go to my screen, Tim, I'll do you one better. I haven't refreshed my page since 8:20 a.m. This is actually important. And look at what the prediction was
5.1.
5.1.
So this morning has been very quickly rising the probability of a 0 basis point raise.
That's exactly my point.
Boom!
So at this point, it's like, are we whistling past the graveyard, just being positive about this? This is crazy, doomsday level stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
Continuing to spend when inflation is being aggressively fought by the Fed. It's in every headline, every single hedge fund manager, every pension manager. All they're thinking about is inflation. Certainly the Federal Reserve, the FOMC, thinking about inflation, and yet they still sign a $1.7 trillion omnibus bill.
Well, to be fair, we got to remember, the Fed didn't sign that bill.
Of course. No, I'm saying.
When Jerome Powell went before Congress, I think it was it Congress or Senate, when he was interrogated by even like Democrats.
Probably the Senate.
Was it Senate? Okay, so he went before Senate and he was interrogated by Democrats. Like, they didn't like all the things he was doing. Like Jerome Powell, I'm actually wondering who is friends with Jerome Powell. Does he have any friends left in the space?
No, I think Jerome Powell has friends.
I'm being facetious.
Oh, I'm
here,
sorry.
T-shirt.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're trying to be positivity here.
I don't pick up on sarcasm.
What I'm saying is he's not, like, I know a lot of people almost suspected all the moves he was making were being motivated by potentially the left. And it's like, no, he's making some enemies on the left side of the aisle just as much as he was making some enemies on the right side of the aisle. That's why I say, who's his friend? I don't like Jerome Powell. I'm starting to actually suspect, I think Jerome Powell's doing whatever he thinks is best. Now, he was wrong earlier this year by delaying it. I think he knows that. I think he's trying right now.
Yeah, but that didn't seem to have much partisan corollary that he waited for so long. I think that was just that transitory narrative. They were waiting, transitory. It seemed like he actually believed that. And yeah, the Biden administration was also parroting that it was transitory. But I think everybody in the high economic echelon, by high economics, like economics professors and economic analysts, actually genuinely believe that it was transitory.
Yeah.
And so
well, he has one friend. Jerome Powell does have one confirmed friend,
mhm.
and that's Christian Maynard.
Christian
He just
Maynard.
confirmed it in chat. He said that Jerome is his friend.
I love that.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream. We went long again, but that is okay because we had a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a big, important update, and I'm trying to do better about this because I usually forget. Today at 1:15, I will be on Paul Barron's show.
Nice.
So Paul Barron Network on YouTube. I will be appearing on his channel. So make sure you go and show some love and support. If you do not follow Paul, you should. He is a phenomenal, phenomenal analyst. Has some great guests. I've been watching his channel now for a little bit. Super honored. And last month he reached out to me, wanted to be on the show. Turns out they liked me. I guess his audience liked me enough that he invited me back. So make sure you guys come and check us out here at 1:15 at Paul Barron's. Again, this is the last show of 2022, but 2023 is going to be the year of the investing bros. Make sure that if you have not already, and you just have been coming in here and watching and you love us, but you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. We are quickly growing. Other thing is, if you ever get frustrated because you're like, man, I love the investing bros, but sometimes their stuff doesn't pop up on my feed, YouTube's not feeding them to me. Well, one way you can get around that is hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of content. And again, we've been doing morning shows pretty consistently now since we began. But in 2023, look for more short-term videos to be coming out, a lot more reaction videos, a lot more deep dives into some projects, maybe not 5 days a week, but maybe once or twice a week, and you don't want to miss a single one of them. So hit that notification bell. The last thing is, this is going to be the greatest community in crypto. That is my prediction, and that's because of you guys, but we need your help. Go ahead and share every single video you guys get. Comment below so that we can continue to improve as a channel, but make sure we're engaging with other people. And the last one in chat, I love seeing all of you guys respond. Like today, shout out to Trevor. Trevor said he's been a long-time listener, but first-time commenter. Let's welcome everybody. I want to see you guys engaged. This channel would not exist without all of you guys, and it's because of you that this is going to be the greatest channel in all of YouTube for crypto. We love all of you. Happy New Year. We'll see you Monday, January the 2nd. Love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great year.